time still.
Okay, so now that this thing is actually recording, and I hope the green screen doesn't mess up, and I hope that there's all kinds of technical issues. When you're just sort of a hobbyist who likes to make videos for fun, if you're a musician and you're like me, you'll still get really frustrated, and you'll probably cuss quite a bit, which I've been doing all afternoon. I've been wanting to come out with and make a video on this, that I believe that since I have a channel that nobody looks at, and probably nobody's going to watch this video, that suddenly gave me the freedom to be like, I can make videos on whatever I want on all these subjects that everybody else is talking about, and maybe someday somebody will see it and get an insight, because I've noticed that the only good media anymore is literally the citizen journalists and people that are out there making videos and sharing their expertise and their own personal experiences, because the mainstream media is nothing but a lie machine. And I think if you don't realize that by now, you're probably not A, 60 years old like me, or B, relatively intelligent like I would like to believe I am. One of the things I want to dispel, because I hear some things repeated over and over again, and I really have a problem with the whole sheep mentality. I don't like cliches. I don't want to say, oh, sheeple and all this, but it's like, it's so true. And I think I could notice behavioral patterns like this. Literally, when I was in kindergarten, I noticed that people, they just kind of flock this way and they kind of go that way. And I've always been able to know ahead of time where they're going. I've always really enjoyed the subject of UFOs, ufology, the unexplained. I am also a very committed and grounded Christian. For me, some of these subjects are just kind of fun. It's kind of like the interesting subjects of like the pyramids and how they were built, and all the mathematics and just things that make you ponder. And I always like to learn more. But one of the things that is just this, to me, this really glaring flaw, logical flaw that I see repeated over and over again, has to do with UFOs and the alien question. Because if you get into ufology and you've been following it for a lot of years, and you're familiar with all the names and the different people and stuff like that, and George Norrie and Art Bell and Coast to Coast, and a lot of really fun, enjoyable shows like that cover a lot of subjects. One of the things you'll notice is that in the UFO community, if you suggest that anything is, that there's literally zero evidence that's very convincing at all of alien life, or that these UFOs are aliens from another planet that came here, that can traverse. Their technology is so far beyond ours that they can travel. They have to be able to travel, like, literally interdimensionally, to be able to travel the vast distances of planets. Because so far, everything that we can determine, we haven't been able to find any actual, like, intelligent life yet, right? So, and they come all the way here, and they come here so that they can come and land and pull your pants down and poke things in your butt. Okay. All right. There's something pretty strange about that. Of course, a lot of the behavior of these aliens, and I believe a lot of these people, they actually have real experiences, and that gets off into a spiritual realm, because I have witnessed supernatural things, and so much of it actually is very descriptive of how the demonic realm is explained. But this is not what this video is about. What this video is about is I'm going to completely dispel this ridiculous myth that's been propagated forever, promulgated, that the government knows all about this. They're in contact with alien beings, but they're trying to hide it from the general public. They're really, to me, they're obviously the ones promoting this idea, and I'm going to tell you exactly why. And nobody will ever have a good argument against this. Period. Okay. The government wants you to believe in alien beings visiting here, and they are purposely trying to convince you that these things that are seen in the sky or on radar, that those are definitely aliens from another planet. I'll do other videos that go specifically into why I believe they're promoting this theory, but I'm going to show you what's really obvious. It's obvious like a little kid who's caught with their hand in the cookie jar. It's like it's so sophomoric or infantile, whatever you want to call it, okay? And I'm going to tell you how I know this for a fact. The reason I know this is I served in the United States Air Force as an avionics specialist. That's somebody who works on navigation equipment on, my field, I worked on Doppler radar and inertial navigation systems on UH-60A Black Hawk helicopters and HC-130 rescue C-130 fixed wing craft. And the unit that I was in, it was a combat rescue, which falls under the heading of basically special ops. So this is what brings me to the whole ridiculous notion about this Tic Tac and the leak of this video that everybody's seen of the Navy pilots and the Tic Tac flying around. I'm going to prove to you how absolutely ridiculous it is. This notion that the government's actually trying to hide something from you when they're actually planting stuff in the public consciousness, and they've been doing it since Roswell, and Roswell was the most glaring example of that. But I'm gonna try to boil it down here so this video doesn't run on for too long. Okay, when I say what I was in was technically it was special ops. It had a little bit kind of enhanced security. Like everybody had to have a secret security clearance. Everybody had to be able to shoot expert with an M16. There was just some enhanced requirements for everybody in this unit, whether you were an avionics guy like me or even the admin person or person that did payroll and had to do with your checks, cutting your checks and stuff like that. That was all required to be in there. That doesn't mean that I was any particular type of a Rambo guy. I like to joke that way to my wife, but no, I mean, I was very highly trained in what I did. But my point being that anybody who's been in the military in anything that was directly combat related or anything that had enhanced security at all, I mean, knows for a fact that like I couldn't take information, like I couldn't take, they would show like, sorties that were planned, or SARS, search and rescue, the different types of missions that like we flew, because we actually had a peacetime mission as well, which was kind of cool because people get lost in the Gulf of Mexico. I was stationed at Eglin Air Force Base, Florida, and people would get rescued. So we served a peacetime mission, which was pretty cool. And the PJs that served with us, the combat rescue, pararescue guys, they were every bit at least as badass as the Navy SEALs or Green Berets. Their expertise was combat rescue from behind enemy lines, so they were experts in hand-to-hand combat, and highly trained, literally, as I guess you could call them, almost like field physicians and surgeons. And very few people could ever make it through their school, and so I'd love to say I was a total badass like that, but I wasn't. However, one thing we understood was being a 24-hour mobility squadron that could deploy anywhere in the world within 24 hours, there are certain basics about classified information. It's not like we were on super secret missions. It's just common sense. It's like if somebody in the media, local media, were to ask me, hey man, can you give me a picture of something that shows the upcoming flights of your aircraft, or can you provide me with a maintenance data collection, because there was some news story that involved maintenance somehow, or sabotage or whatever. I mean, it's just automatic. No, I can't do that. If I did that, I know for a fact I would be at least an Article 15. But no, we're talking I'd be court-martialed. The likelihood is an egregious breach like that, I would easily could end up jail time, prison time in Leavenworth, right? There was a guy who managed to, I don't know how he had his cell phone where it wasn't supposed to be, and he snapped a picture of that, showed parts of the submarine he was on, and I think he still is, I'm not sure, but I know for a fact that during the time when Hillary was violating security, that's beyond worthy of prison time. His example was brought up because he innocently took a picture and it showed parts of the submarine that were highly classified, and he's ended up in Leavenworth federal prison. Okay, so I've set the stage there, right? When we would go on a TDY, like to Charleston, South Carolina, I mean, we were always told, if somebody asks you out in public, what are you doing there? Where are you from? All this kind of stuff. You just don't say anything. You don't, it's not like you're trying to hide that you're military, Air Force, but you just don't talk to the general public. And OSI people, I mean, they had planted in us, at least I remember back in tech school or basic, that they're out there, and they will walk up and ask people questions because they want to test, So, and I'm not even trying to say that this was like some huge hush hush thing. I'm sure that my buddies in the bar in Charleston probably blabbed away. They're from Eglin Air Force Base or whatever when they were trying to pick up women and all this, right? But I'm just saying the basics would be, at the very least, nobody would provide documentation or video or anything like that from within. And anybody that's been in the military, at least in my day when the military was like actually like a military, would ever provide anything like that. And they would know, they are very well aware that, breaches of security are definitely punishable, and they don't mess around in the military. It's not like, you can't get one of these wacky judges like we're seeing right now in the media. No, well, that's a whole nother subject, but basically you have a defense, but you're UCMJ now, or you're not regular Constitution. Your rights are enunciated by the United Code of Military Justice, and it's a good, you'll get sent to jail. It's like they take it very seriously. Now, I happen to know that I've had friends who were aboard submarines, aircraft carriers, friends of mine that served in the Navy, and it's not a secret that you're not allowed to tell people where you're at and what you're doing, from your ship. You're talking to your family through emails and that kind of thing that is very heavily censored. Information coming and going is very serious, even if it's something that seems totally harmless. Like our ship is now here doing this or whatever. It's like, no, that's all pretty strictly regulated, and I'm sure there's slips and cracks in the system and that kind of thing. Okay, but I'm trying to elevate the stage here to now we're talking about naval vessels that are out like on patrol. They're basically serving a mission. They're at an enhanced level when it comes to security and information and that sort of thing, right? Okay, now we get into the issue of fighter aircraft, and we get into the issue of recordings of radar on board the aircraft. This brings the classification level up to a much higher level, and I guarantee you, without being a Navy veteran, I promise you, anybody who comes or goes or handles any of the recorded radar recordings from fighter aircraft, that stuff has a chain of custody that is literally ironclad, and everybody has an identifier of some kind. Back in my day, you had to sign out a toolbox to go out, work on an airplane, and if there was a little piece missing from it, they grounded the flight line. Nobody could fly because of the possibility of FOD, foreign object damage, that could get sucked up into an intake or whatever. The Air Force, if anything, they're very anal. I know the Navy, especially aircraft carriers and anything involving aviation, and that they're going to be extremely anal about everything, and security is going to be very high on their list. Now, keep that in mind, okay? Elevate it another step. You have fighter aircraft that are out and they actually have an engagement, not combat, but they have some sort of engagement with an acquisition of a target that is unknown, of a foreign source, uh, displaying technology that is they don't understand. It's not adding up. There are examples where there's no visual, but there's radar, or there's both. And there are examples in the military where there are visual and no radar, and vice versa. And this Tic Tac videos that came out. Okay, this is why I know that the government is planting this stuff, is because anybody who comes or goes and gains access to any type of material, especially something that sensitive, they know the second, the minute, and exactly who came and went, and who was in and had access to any of that kind of stuff. This got out into the mainstream media and has been floating around for years, and nobody got court-martialed. The Navy didn't send anybody to Leavenworth. You didn't hear anything about it. This is major, okay? This is so phony, it's ridiculous. And then recently, the Navy comes out and confirms, yeah, it's authentic. Yeah, we finally have to admit it. It's like, no. As soon as and if you look at it, it looks to me like it's definitely this radar footage. This isn't like some cell phone thing. This is like a direct line type of a recording. So this is actually something that had to be downloaded somehow. And whoever did it had to have some sort of a unique identifier that showed who they were, and they had to have a very high security clearance. And there has to be record of exactly who did it when. Okay? Since it was allowed to happen and the Navy confirmed it and nobody's gotten any trouble, that means that the federal government is purposely planting this stuff out there. And if that didn't convince you that they're doing this on purpose, and we can get into Roswell, which is even a more hilarious example of just that. Consider when Barack Obama was asked a series of questions, and I'll probably provide the video here. He was asked, what I've seen is video of Barack Obama, and he's talking about how, they seem to defy all kinds of technology, and they can do this and that. And we really don't know who they are, where they come from, and all this. And then whoever it was, and I'll provide the video, asked Barack, do we? I think they asked him, have we had contact with aliens? And Barack Obama says this. He goes, that's classified. And you can imagine the UFO community. That proves it right there. That's as good as a yes. And Obama knows that he's planting a yes in all the people that are so eager to believe in aliens out there that just took that and ran with it. I mean, that's just pathetic. That's just absolutely pathetic. I mean, come on. Well, I can't really talk about it. I'm not confirming or denying, but I just got done talking about all these weird things and this technology, and you have to really be naive to not see this. And the only reason I'm making this video is because apparently everybody's really naive. They just wasted a bunch of our tax dollars with a big congressional hearing, and all these military guys got up there, and I know it's something we don't have. And it's like, well, I have another video coming out about how I'm going to dispel the myth that everybody keeps repeating. Well, I know it's got to be from out of this world because we don't have anything like that. Okay. Yeah, we do, first of all. Secondly, I will demonstrate at least definitively that you, the average person, and the average military officer fairly high up really has no idea, as far as research and development, what we have. And I'll just plant a little seed here and say that the SR-71 Blackbird, did you know that was basically created and the prototype was in existence, and I believe it was in 1958. You know how long ago that was? Okay. That's another subject. But my point of this video is, and it's absolute fact, is the people in charge of those radar tapes, the recordings, they purposely made a decision somewhere in the federal government, and they said, yeah, let's go ahead and plant this out in the media. And we know the CIA has been very involved in the media in Hollywood for years. That's a proven fact, and we can get into that subject as well. But it's an absolute fact that the government, for some reason, has gone through the effort to plant a recording of a radar, highly sensitive, classified, call it a leak, with no disciplinary action whatsoever off of a naval aircraft carrier regarding a, whatever you want to call it, bogey, foreign aircraft. Beyond that, unidentified, with technological advancements beyond anything we could possibly imagine. Yeah, they just let it slip on out there. Yeah, and Jeffrey Epstein just happened to be able to hang himself with paper sheets where there's no hooks available, and all the cameras went off at the same time. If you're not a conspiracy theorist, then you're an idiot. But consider what I'm saying. If you can make a good argument against it, then definitely mention it in the comments below, even though I know I'm talking to myself, and I also know that nobody watches my videos. But I still like to make the videos, so, I'm not risking anything. But I would prefer, if you're going to make an argument against it, if you're one of these UFO religious type UFO fanatics, okay, be specific. Okay, because what I said is ironclad. There's no question about it. It didn't just slip out of their hands. And anybody who's been in the military at any enhanced level of any type of security or anything combat related knows that I'm telling the truth. That there is something crazy, idiotic, and fishy about this whole thing.
Damn it, Jim. I'm a doctor, not a porn star. Damn it, Jim. I'm a doctor, not a porn star.
Okay. So now that damn it, Jim. I'm a doctor, not a porn star.
Damn it, Jim. I'm a doctor, not a porn star.
porn star.